Okay, another podcast here. Today I'm talking about teaching our youth. When I was growing up, we had a policy in life. Now I'm the oldest of five girls, and my brother basically was my 14th birthday present. And I say that because we used to go camping in the summer after Bible study at church and go to Lewis and Clark along the Missouri River, and we'd sleep in the tents, and my parents would sleep in the camper, which would explain how I got my sister Audra and my brother Bill. That's what happens when the parents are left unsupervised in a camper and, yeah, along the Missouri River. And if you've never been to the Lewis and Clark, I suggest you take your family there. It is a beautiful spot along the Missouri, along the Niobrara Valley. It's just an extremely beautiful little piece of Nebraska. You can see South Dakota on the other side. That's kind of cool. And you can't beat the scenery. There's 1,000 different things you can do. Now, I see our young now attached to their cell phones. I'm guilty of that sometimes too, but that's what happens when you become retired and you have diddly squat for money and you need to entertain yourself. When well, I'm a nice little puzzle junkie. So, you see them attached to all these electronics, and then, these women, these parents are in the grocery stores, and their kids are acting up. They're running around through the store, and they're not listening. They're not listening to instruction from their parents, or their parents are just plain clueless of what's going on around them and what's going on around their kids. Well, fun, that's potentially dangerous. And not to mention, that to me makes you a really fucked up parent. I mean, what person in this day and age, what have we learned about, we teach our children stranger danger, what to do if someone tries to kidnap them and all that stuff. Um, where is the parent's part in making sure that those actions are prevented in the first place? You know, in my county here, there is 2 pages of registered sex offenders in my community alone, not just the county, my community of 3,000. Now, that's a lot of sex offenders um, in a town of 3,000, a small town. And reality check. I mean, you don't let your kids run in a store in the first place. If your kids are raving little brats running through a store, screaming, knocking into other people, pulling things off the shelf, wrecking shit, and just plain being nasty, I'm sorry, but there's no crime against smacking your kid square on the butt and punishing him. And I don't care, but I got beat on the ass with a belt. I got beat on the ass with the hand. I got sent to my room without dinner. And guess what? I'm still alive. 55. I'm still alive, people. So, what has changed? What has changed is people who are young parents now are fucking lazy. Let's get it. We're fucking lazy. We're teaching our kids to be ignored and to be attached to an electronic babysitter because we're too damn busy texting and ignoring our children. And then you go to public places and you wonder why your kids act a fool. Why are they acting stupid? Well, because you let them get away with it at home. How can you expect them to not act like fucking idiots in public when you let them act like fucking idiots at home? And I'm sorry, but kids are raised the way their parents act. They are like little monkey retainers. They take in what the adult ape is teaching them. Like, hey, watch the grown-ups fling poo at each other. Okay, we're going to do that too because that's what our parents are doing. If we all think it's cute, when we forget that we're saying, these profanity words and, I mean, nobody's going to tell you that don't know me that I'm really good at the F bomb and the oh shit and we all say it. It's common language anymore. And yeah, we laugh it off when our 1-year-old says, whose first words aren't mama or dada, but they're, oh shit. Okay, yeah, it's cute when they're 1 or they're 2, but it's not cute when they're 6, 7, and 8 years old and they're doing it. And it's not okay to let them get away with smacking you because when they are letting away smacking you, they're smacking people in public and you're going, oh, you can't do that. Well, okay, they're going to be confused and that's why they're going to get pissed and have tantrums because you're telling them it's okay to do it at home, but don't do it here, which I'm sorry, they're little children still learning in here. The brain is retaining stuff, but you're sending mixed messages, which confuses them and upsets them because you're letting them do this stuff at home, but then you're telling them they can't do this stuff if they're being seen by everybody else but you. Don't work that way. And I'm sorry, but whatever happened to um, putting them out in the yard and getting them to mow the grass like I did every year? We had a freaking quarter section for a backyard. Did we have a riding mower? No, we didn't. It took 3 days with a push mower to complete it. And then, not to mention, nobody else wanted to do it. So, who did it? This girl right here. This girl. And then you'd have to rake it up because it was pretty much growing like pasture grass. It was, oh my God, it was like crack growing in sunlight. It was just something else. It was like, you know, let your kids run free like a flower in the field, but and like a dandelion growing and sending its beauty into other places. Yeah, it's a weed, but it's a pretty flower that um, sends itself love to the earth by traveling. All flowers do that. Bees do that. That's how wildflowers, you know, let your kids be that way. But teach them values. Don't teach them that they need to get stuff by acting stupid. Throwing a tantrum, having a fit, whining, carrying on, and then you giving in to them because, oh no, you don't want to hear it. Please, I got popped upside the head if I acted that way. And not by my parents, by my grandmothers. Yeah. You know what I got taught growing up that really drove me crazy? About the only thing that pissed me off and drove me crazy? Is the grandmother that told me I needed to learn to cook, clean, and sew so I could fetch me a husband at a young age and I wouldn't have to fend for myself. Well, I'm one of those people, I'm like painfully allergic to the idea of getting married because to me that's like nothing but a signed piece of paper saying I'm like really stuck with that person that, I'm sorry, but if I'm sick of you, there's the door. Don't let it hit you in the ass. And if it does, the crack's just going to be a little bigger. You'll heal. Even from the butt hurt, go away. Go away. You know? And the older I get, I'm more of a, well, hey, if I was in that mood, but I'm not anymore, that kind of died with menopause. Hit it and quit it. Yes, some women think that. You know why? Because there are people in this world that have penises attached to them who are not mature and never will be. They're like balls of mud. They're good for some things, like an exfoliation on your face, but after that, diddly squat. They're good for procreation, and that is it. That is all they know how to do anyway, is to stick their winker in a dark hole and hope for the best. Okay, well, here's what you teach your young. Here's what you teach your young. You teach them that no matter what age they are, they have to be respectful at all times. You teach them that even if you don't discipline them or you're not around to discipline them, anybody within a 5-inch radius of their crack ass will discipline them because you're not going to stop that person. Guess what else happens? You teach them that they go without things. You don't give them cell phones at the age of 5. You don't give them access to your computer, which frankly is dangerous anyway. You don't let them have Facebook accounts because if you read Facebook's policy, it says you have to be at least 13 or older. You don't let them have anything. If you want your kids like to play video games, you give them 1 hour a day as long as their homework and their chore list is done. If they don't get their expectations finished, your expectations of what you want from them and the reward they're going to get or the earning that they can get from that goes out the door too. I did not have computers growing up. I did not have cell phones growing up. Our cell phone was attached to a cord in the wall, and I grew up in a community that until the 1970s had 4 codes for a phone number. And I can still remember ours. It was 2364. And it was a party line. So if the one lady in our town that was profound in gossip and know it all and this person, that person, and the other person, oh hell, she was on the party line all the time. It was a miracle. You'd have to literally ask her to hang up and call the person back so you could get on your phone and use the phone line to access the phone. Yeah. When I lived in Texas, I went to the public pool one day, and this was in the cul-de-sac where we lived, and there was a man that actually came up to me, had his 2 daughters at the pool, and asked me if we had indoor plumbing yet. And this was in 1986. And I said, yeah. I'm like, really? I'm going to get this idiot. This is a dumbass. How unacknowledged can you be about fucking state of Nebraska? Okay? One of the most inventive states in our union. I'm sorry, but we are. We are one of the better states in our union for education, creativity, medicine, college graduations, sports in high school, sports in colleges. I mean, Nebraska girls, come on. And, Coach Frost, next year is going to be your year because this year was your year and you've primed your team for next year. So, I'm saying, I looked at this man and I said, yeah, no, we got indoor plumbing last year. Now we go in a hole in the back porch next to the washer and dryer. And I said, you know what else? We finally got the Indians to stop sleeping in their teepees in our backyard. Because really? And I mean, he just looked at me and he said, you're making fun of me. And I said, not before you did. I said, what kind of special idiot are you? It's like, really? Have you left the state of Texas and gone anywhere else? I'm pretty sure if there's flushable toilets in Texas, they are in everybody else. Unless you live in the frickin' boondock willies of frickin' 70 miles from anywhere for having a neighbor or a town, you're not going to be pissing in a hole. Okay. Or along a tree, That's a whole nother story. Now, teaching our young. You teach them in the summer that they don't lay around on the computer, they don't lay around in front of the TV, they don't lay around on the cell phone, they don't get to drive when you don't get access to whatever they want because you don't want to deal with their shit. Well, you're supposed to. That's what your job is as a parent, is to deal with their stupid shit. You breed it, you feed it, you teach it. That's how that works. If you don't want to, cut off the pipeline, fuck like bunnies, don't have kids, but fuck like bunnies. If that's your only reason for doing it, having sex, by all means, prevent that from starting in the first place. Because if you're going to have children and you're going to create people, little people, other human beings, you need to be ready for the responsibility that comes with that, not the obligation that comes with that, not the being stuck, oh shit, we had kids. We should have thought about this. Oh crap, you were an accident. Oh crap, you weren't thought about, you weren't meant to be, but we had you anyway. You know, I'm sorry, but what is our society these days teaching people? Now, I grew up in the 1960s as a kid, and I went to high school and junior high in the 70s and graduated in the beginning of the 80s. The actual beginning of the 80s. And I am still alive. I helped on my grandparents' elevator. We cleaned out 100,000 bushel frickin' Quonsets in 100-degree weather. And even if they ran the outboard fans, it was still 112 or 115 inside those buildings. And it took about, one entire day, 10, 12 hours to clean out one of those buildings. We scooped grain and it had nothing in it, but we also cleaned out spill off pits, well pits, and guess what grows up in those? Snakes, mice, bugs with too many legs, bugs with not enough legs. Yeah. If your kids aren't learning those values, what are you going to expect from them? Be the person you want your child or your teenager to be. Simple as that. If you're acting a fool, your kids are going to act a fool. Because from the age that they start learning, that learning and growing is by mimicking people around them, they're going to mimic you because they're the two people or the one person they're going to look forward to because you're the most available person to them at all costs. Kids don't come with an instruction book. Some adults don't come with one either. But at one time in your life, you were a kid too. You weren't an adult. And you were taught values. What you try to do is remember the values you were taught, the values you came up with, and hope that you've learned from the bad values and kept the good values, and you pass those on to your kids. That's what this world is made up of. That's how the Americas came to be. Is teaching values, teaching the things you need to do to get survived in this world every day. The world is a horrible place right now. It's not a horrible place, but it's a scary place. It's been a scary place since the dawn of man. It's never going to not be a scary place, but you can have a scary place or you can have an adventurous place. The biggest thing about the wars that are going on in this world these days is people fighting over. You think about the wars we've had in our lifetime and the ones that are going on now around the world. These aren't people who are just pushing each other to try and be other people or not liking what you're doing, so let's fight and shoot each other. No, That goes on in our streets in America every day with street gangs and drug wars and all that other stuff. That is no different than anything else. Face it. The change begins with you, your children, and all you have to do is share that message. Agree to disagree. Respect people for their beliefs, their values, their heritage. I have told people for years, it doesn't matter who that person is. I'm not a race, I'm a heritage. I come from German immigrants. I've raised in German values. And we are a happy melting pot of all these great beliefs and heritages and love and thought. And those are values you need to be teaching your kid. Okay? That's what you need to be teaching our kids. Because every day a child is born into this world is either going to be the person that brings us peace to the entire universe or going to be too frightened to have an opinion. So, in fear of retaliation or death or whatever, or hate, nobody wants that. So, this is why I said you need to teach your young. Teach your young that telling somebody they can't be or hurt or love or believe or feel the way they feel because you don't like it, no, that's not how it works. You teach them that everyone is equal in this world, no matter who they are, what their heritage is, what they love, who they love, or anything. Because the more you teach that and the more you let that be, the more peace will happen in this earth. So please, don't let your kids act like freaking little 3-foot fools that don't respect the world around them or the people around them. Be the change. Make your children be their peace ambassadors by starting that at home from you. Peace out.